Hi, and welcome back to Blue's Garden. This is all about how I prepare my grow bags and my beds for everything that I'm growing. So, rule number one is you're actually not feeding your plants, you feed your soil. You're not feeding your plants, you're feeding your soil. The plants will take what nutrients they need from the soil around them. And so it's important to keep that in mind. Feed the soil. You have healthy soil, all the nutrients you need in the soil, and you'll have wonderful growth in your garden. For me, my biggest thing is I am growing in grow bags, other than the one large raised bed I have and my raspberry plant, which is in ground. Everything's in grow bags. 25-gallon grow bags, 10-gallon grow bags, 7-gallon, 5-gallon. Everything is growing in a container of some kind. So I need to constantly keep feeding my soil. All right, so next we're going to head outside. And of course, we are always greeted with rabbits. It is something I've got a lot of in the area. In fact, I've had them growing in some of my grow bags. As you can see, I've got containers waiting for herbs to move outside. I got some lettuce growing, parsley and oregano. I've got some lettuce just starting here. Everything I have is growing in containers, except right next to the rabbit when you first saw was the raspberries. Heading off to make my mix for my bags, my grow bags, and all containers. The compost bin. I have a couple of bins, and one of them is active and one of them is finished. They're about a year apart. Well, 6 or 8 months apart, I should say. The active one will be ready for late fall. So, a next ingredient is my sphagnum peat moss. I know some people use cocoa coir. I still use the sustainable peat moss coming out of Canada. I believe it's a better product for everything I'm growing. Tomatoes love it. It's slightly acidic, so it really helps the soil in that sense. And it is, again, a sustainable product out of Canada. It's not like the UK stuff that is not quite as sustainable. So 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 soil from last year, and 1/3 compost, my finished organic compost. Compost is really rich in organic matter that's breaking down. All of that goes in, once it's mixed up, I put it into the different grow bags. And this one looks to be about a 10-gallon, which means it's probably going for the squash or cucumber at the end of the line. Take last year's soil, dump it in, mix it in, make sure that there's enough peat to eat about, I'm not measuring everything exactly, but pretty close. You can tell by the color, by the look. Then into the grow bags. Again, this one looks like it's another 10. That's a third 10. And the 10 gallons, again, at the end of the line, I have some squash that I'll be growing and some cucumber, and that's what the squash and cucumber will be in there. This is a 7, which means it's one of the tomato. So the next step for me is my Granular Organics. I use some blood meal, a granular blood meal, and about a handful, half a handful. It's not exact. The blood meal is a 12-0-0, which means 12% of the nitrogen and 0 phosphate and 0 potassium. I also use a granular organic bone meal, which is a 4-12-0. 4% of it is nitrogen, 12% is phosphate, and then it also has calcium in it. About 12% is calcium. The tomato plants will take that up if it's needed. If it's not needed, it won't take it up. However, it'll only take it up if you water correctly, but we'll get to that on another day. So then mix everything in. And then on down the line. So this is the line where the tomatoes will end up going, my cherry tomatoes. I put some worm castings in, which is a 1-1-1, 1% of everything. It's a very low even, but it also has a bunch of trace elements and some active ingredients in there. So worm castings is always a good thing. It helps feed the soil and it helps feed the biology that's in the soil. These are the peas that I'm growing. I planted them a while ago. There's two different kinds of peas in there, a golden sweet and a Oregon giant, and I haven't the foggiest which side is which. But they need some netting or something to grow up. So while I'm prepping my bed, I'm out here, I might as well finish that bit. Just some netting that I bought online, and it's a jute, a natural product, presumably, unless somebody's lying to me. And I will make it fast, tighten it, tie it off to one side. Tie it off. Just give it a little support in the middle too, might as well. Peas are going to weigh it down, so might as well have something to give it a little support. So once you got it tied off on the one side, pull it a little tighter and tie it off to the other side. It's 15 meters long or something like that, so I cut it off, and then I will use the strings that are loose and tie that off. I just give the peas something to trellis up. Since I'm out prepping, I did some metal chicken wire. That'll help in the corner here where the squash will be. You can see the onions in the one directly in front of me, some green onion growing, but the other ones are going to be squash. I will now zip tie that up. Actually staple this on and zip tie it. Staple the chicken wire onto the board and zip tie everything so it's nice and tight. And then get the onions back in place. I'll cut off the excess chicken wire. I'm going to use that around a couple of 25-gallon grow bags that I'm going to be growing some beets in. Oh, there are the 25-gallon. These will be where the beets will eventually go. They're indoors. I start them indoors in little clusters and then move each cluster outside. Again, bone meal and some Dr. Earth's, which is a more balanced. It's a 463, but the bone meal is 4120, and then the Dr. Earth's is a 463. It's also a granular organic. Granular means it breaks down slowly over time, but it needs soil biology, so you need to give it some time. And then last step, before I'm done prepping everything, is I spray some live beneficial nematodes in. It's got 3 different types of beneficial nematodes, and I mix it up in a sprayer, Hudson sprayer type, and spray every single one of my containers. And then it's wise to do some water afterward. And there you have it. So in those last 2 25-gallon grow bags, I'll end up planting beets, sweet beets, beetroot, depending on what you call it. In the majority of those 7-gallon grow bags, along that long line that I fertilized, I will be planting my cherry tomato, pear tomato, the smaller type tomatoes, not slicers, not beefsteak, and not my Romas. The other half of my garden is where most of the Romas, beefsteak, and slicer types go, as well as my zucchini and squash, and Brussels sprouts, a few other little things go in there. But so there you have it. The biggest thing to having a great garden is spending the time prepping your soil. Your soil is more important than anything else. For me, that is again, to recap, 1/3 compost, 1/3 peat. I know some people use coco coir. I don't like spending the money on something that gets harvested and shipped into the country, and it is coming from overseas. It's either overseas or Hawaii. I prefer the sustainable product that comes out of Canada. So 1/3 compost that I make, 1/3 peat from Canada, the sphagnum peat moss, and then 1/3 my old soil from last year's grow bags. And then I refresh. Depending on what I grow is what I put the specific fertilizers in. And I do this all a few weeks before I plant. That gives the organics time to begin to get broken down by the soil biology. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope this helps you grow. If you like this, please click a like, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you do that, you help me grow, and that helps you grow. Thank you very much.